Hey yo, what is up FPG fam? Further here and welcome back to another Aether Gazer video. So Hell just released on the global version, was fortunate enough to pull her. I'll leave that video linked at the end of this one, you should check it out. It was pretty nutty, but needless to say, I was able to build her up, put some time into her in terms of gameplay, and really got a good idea of how she plays and what she's bringing to the table. And so I thought this would be the perfect time to give you my initial thoughts, my first impressions of this modifier, maybe some advice and recommendation on whether you should go for her or not. So hopefully you get some value from today's video. We're going to go over the build that I currently have on her, and then I'll talk about gameplay and then give you that advice. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it, starting with the build. First and foremost, she is the highest CP out of my natural S ranks. Of course, Buzembo is going to be the highest because she's triple S rank, but out of my natural S ranks, Scotty, Leviathan, Living Soul, Osiris, she's the highest CP with the current build that I have on. Of course, she's maxed out at level 80. You see the stats right here. Now, I could min-max her a little bit better. You can see that crit damage is not where I would want it to be, and the rest of the skills are pretty decent, but I could definitely mid-max this a little bit better. We'll work on that later down the road. Skills completely maxed out. Talking about the skills, her normal attack is just bringing out those cannons and doing some damage with them. Her skill 1 is something that I really like, but it has short range, so you want to make sure you're up close, but it has some really good AoE and does some really good damage as well. Then we have the skill 2. This is going to shoot out like a cannon shot. Now this one is interesting because you can certainly miss if you're not really aiming it, or if I should say if the enemies are moving around quickly, then this can miss pretty consistently. So you have to be careful with this one, but nonetheless it's going to do some good damage. And then skill 3, this is what Hell is all about. Her skill 3 is going to turn her into the cannon, and this is where she's going to get the most damage output. She's going to get some damage reduction as well, and she's going to use the Divine Grace, so you have to keep that in mind. But skill 3 is what she's all about, and it is actually pretty fun once you pop that off. The AoE is nice once again, and it does some really good damage. And then her ultimate is really good as well, has some nice AoE, and it's going to go ahead and boost the shadow damage of your teammates. So she's going to be a good pairing for like Mistletoe and maybe some other modifiers down the road that utilize shadow damage. She's going to be able to boost their damage up, so she's like a pseudo support, and then grants a 15% ultimate skill charge when mod or a teammate triggers 0 time. So this is really nice as well to get to your ult a little bit quicker. And then she just has a normal dodge, nothing different right here, but it does grant 30 Divine Grace, so that's really good. Gets you to that skill 3 a little bit quicker, so you can go into that cannon mode. So all in all, her skills are really cool. She has some very nice AoE, and she can output the damage with the proper build. Going over to the access key, I do have it at level 60 fully maxed out, and I do have the signature functor. You have to keep that in mind when you're seeing the gameplay. Now, I know a lot of people are going to ask me, is the signature functor necessary or required? In my opinion, yes, and the only reason being is because you're most likely pulling Hell because of her DPS and her AoE, and this is only going to amplify that even more. So this, in my opinion, is necessary to have for your Hell, so she does the most DPS. But if you're free to play, you can't go for the functor. The free to play ones are something that you can use as a substitute and maybe get this one down the road when you can. But the reason why I say it is necessary, because it's also going to reduce the Divine Grace cost by 5, which is always nice when firing with the cannon tower. Once again, that is what she's revolved around, and then increases the base damage of cannon shots by 32%. So that's where that extra DPS comes from, and 32% is pretty significant in my opinion. So yeah, I think the signature functor is pretty necessary, so that way you get the most out of your Hell like you want to. Now, in terms of sigils, this is a set that I went with, just the recommended that you can see here, just increasing shadow damage and then going with the philosophers for that Divine Grace mode. So those are the two that I went with. In terms of skill effects, you can see it's decent, but it could be min-max a little bit better. Once again, I'll work on that a little bit later. I have Fierce Assault at level 7. This is good to get that attack as high as possible, plays into her skills. And then I have Berserk at level 5 and Rage at level 3. That can be much better. Then you see some Shadow Blessing here, Gladiator, Tactics, Enhance. These are things that, once again, I'm going to reiterate, can be min-max a little bit better, but it's getting the job done. And then we have the reconstructs all on them properly. So that is the sigil set. And then for the Aether code, I don't have the last one unlocked here. I definitely want to try this out because it seems pretty interesting. But for right now, I have 1 red, 2 yellow. This appears to be really good for bosses because you're getting extra damage reduction. You're increasing your skill 2, if I'm not mistaken, here by 80%, so that's going to pop off pretty hard. And then you can restore 3 Divine Grace every second, so you get to that tower mode, or cannon mode I should say, a little bit quicker, and that way you can do more damage, more DPS that way. So this is, in my opinion, pretty good for mobs. really good for bosses. You could try the other ones, and once again I want to try the full red to see how that is, but this is what I'm working with right now for the moment. So all in all, Hell is a fantastic character, been really enjoying her. However, I know she's not going to be for everybody. The minute I started using her, I instantly realized that, yeah, she's not going to be everybody's playstyle, because her normal attacks are slow, her skill 2 is slow, her skill 1 is slow, getting into the cannon mode, transforming into that is slow, and then shooting it is slow. So if you're an individual that likes a very fast playstyle with your modifier, she may not be for you, because everything she does is slow, but she has massive AoE, she does tons of damage, and I can see her being very good not only right now currently, but also in the future, paired with other modifiers that can maybe benefit from that playstyle and having that massive AoE. And it could be for some other content where the damage reduction comes in, the AoE is very significant, and then once again adding to the DPS. And Hell is a fantastic character. If you look on CN tier list right now, she's at a 0.5, meaning she is up there S tier. I would agree upon that tier list, her being at that 0.5, because I can instantly see her value. However, we do have Hera and Hades probably coming right afterwards. Hera probably first, and then Hades after that. And because of that reason, especially for my free-to-play players, it's hard to advocate going for Hell and not having maybe the currency to be able to go for Hera or Hades. Furthermore, you couple that gameplay style of her being very slow and maybe not fit for everybody, that could also play a significant factor. You could also use her in the trial that we have going on right now in the event and see if you even enjoy her playstyle. That's always something that I recommend, giving that a shot and seeing how you like this modifier and if she gels with your type of playstyle. Because once again, for me, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy using Hell. I enjoy using most modifiers, to be quite honest with you. And Hell is just, you know, one of those modifiers that are extremely different from the others, because she's much slower, but she offers some really good utility. Now, another piece of advice that I always recommend, especially free-to-play players, to do is to wait a few days before her banner's about to leave. Usually we then get information on who's coming next, and then you can decide what you want to do. It's also dependent on your current account and how much currency you have saved up and how much you really like this modifier as a whole. But in my opinion, she is a very good modifier. She has some strong utility, very good AoE, and she's able to hit like a truck. But she is slow and she can get interrupted from her skills, knocks her out of her animations. So you have to keep that in mind. She has good range though, so you could always stay at range. And she is a very good AI slot, especially if you have somebody like Leviathan or Scotty. You can go ahead and use them on point, put her in the AI slot, and she's going to get the job done. They do have chips for her as well, so you have to keep that in mind. You can go ahead and set her up the way you want her to, and she's going to perform beautifully there. A team that I find to be very strong at the moment, if you have these modifiers, I recommend you give it a shot, is Hell alongside Scotty and Leviathan. This team seems to be incredibly strong currently right now, and I can see this team being incredibly strong in the future as well, just because Leviathan is providing so much heals. If you use her on point like I do, you can ensure that you're getting the heals and you're being as optimal with Leviathan as possible for the team. And then you have Scotty that's just doing so much damage, outputting DPS and able to CC with the freeze. And then you have Hell on the AI slot just doing massive AoE, clearing out those mobs or doing massive damage on a boss if you're going up against a boss. And she has her own damage reduction, so she's not going to take as much damage. Plus you got the heals with Leviathan. It's just a pretty nutty team comp. And then you have the Yggdrasil gen zone factor going on, so once you go into the modified mode, you have all your resources back. So for example, if you were in the cannon mode already with Hell and you're about to run out and you hit that modified mode, you get the resources all back, so you stay in the cannon mode and you're just putting out so much DPS, so much damage. It's actually pretty nutty and tons of fun once again. So that's something that you can keep in mind. I found that team to be very, very strong currently. But once again, you could also pair her with somebody like Mistletoe for the shadow damage boost. It's going to allow her to hit harder. So that's always a team that you can try. And then I know the new A rank Zenkibu she's going to be a very good fit because of the ultimate skill chain, but she can also hold enemies in place. So when you go into cannon mode, you don't have to worry about them running around. You can just go ahead and snipe them, and that's also a good fit. So just depending on your account and what you need. So overall, I think Hel is a fantastic character, but she's not going to fit everybody's gameplay style, and we have Hera and Hades coming afterwards. So for all intents and purposes, she may be a skip for most people, but if you like massive AoE, if you love hitting like a truck, then Hel might be the character for you, or modifier I should say. Give her a shot first and maybe wait a couple of days before deciding what you want to do. Anyways, this is just my first thoughts, my first impressions. I'm going to do more in-depth guides for Hel. This is just a high overview. I'm going to try out different builds like I always do with these modifiers, and always provide you guys different wacky fun things to try when it comes to the new characters. Anyways, I'm going to get on out of here. Thank you so much for all the support. I do truly appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one. Remember to stand out, be different, have fun, go further beyond in everything that you do. My name is Cody. You call me further. I'll see you all next one. Bye guys.